Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. In this long overdue video, we'll be taking a look at Yelan's game-changing and incredible Constellations. So I finally got around to activating the Constellations on the media server. So don't worry guys, my main account's Yelan is still at Constellation 0 because I'm still working on that Constellation 0 Yelan vs Xingqiu DPS showdown. However, in this video, I'll be breaking down each and every one of Yelan's Constellations as well as providing my personal ranking for each of them. Of course, using my patented slime rating system. We'll also be throwing in the Aqua Simulacra as well as refinements for it. But really quick, if you've been stressed lately, then I've got the perfect, relaxing sponsor for you today, Every Farm. Every Farm is a free-to-play, multiplayer farm building game where you can own a village, grow crops, cook, open restaurants, and befriend some adorable husbandos and waifus. Everything in Every Farm is every type of cute, from cute yellow cars to cute little hammers, upgrading your cute little buildings in your cute little town. Choose from 50 types of crops and 30 types of food and beverages to run the perfect restaurant for the dozens of local waifus and husbandos. And let's not forget the multiplayer aspect of this game, where you can go to your friends' farms and help them out or bug them for help. Every farm has got every type of decor possible. Just look at this pie house with a 3.14 sign and a roof made of 3.14. And there's even a butter house. Every farm has no shortage of interesting and unique decor for you to customize your village. So what are you waiting for? You can get started with building your farm by smashing that link down below. Huge thanks to Every Farm for sponsoring today's video. With this video, we'll be able to see the difference in power between a free-to-play Yelan and Yelan at, honestly, most levels of investment between that free-to-play level and a completely whaled Refinement 5 Constellation 6 Yelan. Here is my Yelan starting build, where she starts with the recurve bow. My crit ratio is a bit off for this specific bow, but of course it gets improved with the Aqua Simulacra later. Anyway, I also want to keep her crit rate at 100% just for the sake of ease of keeping track of stuff. As we can see, Yelan with the recurve bow and a single rotation is remarkably close to one cycling the Primo Geovishap, but alas, she is unable to and our lizard friend lives to see another day. I do want to point out that this is exceptional, absolutely stellar, for a sub-DPS character like Yelan to do so much damage in a rotation with minimal help from her teammates. Do keep in mind that more energy recharge focused weapons like the Favonius Warbow, Sacrificial Bow, and Fading Twilight will do less damage than the recurve bow. Regardless, this base Yelan with a 3-star recurve bow easily deserves a 5 slime out of 5 slime rating. One of the best free-to-play character performances to date. Anyway, our first upgrade is to give her her signature weapon, the Aqua Simulacra. Snazzy rhyming name aside, we can see on the right side, which has the Aqua Simulacra, and the left side, which has the recurve bow, Yelan is now able to single cycle the Primo Geovishap with the Aqua Simulacra, whereas with the recurve bow she wasn't able to. Based on some math as well as some of the observable numbers, the Aqua Simulacra provides my Yelan with roughly a 26% increase to her total damage output. Looking at this chart, it's clear that the lion's share of her overall damage output comes from the 17 exquisite throws from her elemental burst. The Aqua Simulacra is a ridiculously good weapon for Yelan, and the fact that it provides a universal damage gain makes the upgrade from the recurve bow to this thing an easy 5 slime out of 5 slime rating. And now it's time to start tacking on those expensive constellations, starting with Constellation 1, which provides Yelan with an additional charge to her elemental skill. This constellation provides Yelan with many benefits, with the first and most obvious benefit being the improved commute in the overworld. Yelan is like riding a motorcycle through traffic. She zips by everyone else with ease, and now with her Constellation 1, she can get 6 entire seconds of zipping from point A to point B. There's the added bonus of gaining stamina during Yelan's elemental skill. Now let's see how much it improves her combat prowess. Yelan's E does add another exquisite throw due to the bonus exquisite throw when her elemental skill hits the enemy. On top of that, there's the added damage from the E itself. Admittedly, the difference in damage output from a Constellation 0 and Constellation 1 Yelan isn't huge, and that is also evident in this comparison clip. Now do keep in mind that for these comparison clips, I only did each run literally once, so they're not all that accurate and there's a lot of execution differences as well as AI differences, etc. But they tend to follow the expected trend. Based on some crude math, Yelan should be doing around 11% more damage for her first rotation thanks to her Constellation 1. There's also the added benefit of significantly more hydro particles, and as we can see, the Constellation 1 Yelan on the right has a much fuller burst in comparison to the Constellation 0 Yelan on the left. Another cool tidbit about her Constellation 1 is that her elemental skills are so fast that you can use both E's and then her burst and still catch all those particles in time. Overall, a stellar 4.5 slime for the improved quality of life, style points, and improved damage output. An undoubtedly amazing, well-rounded, and fun constellation. Next we have her Constellation 2. This one adds an extra hit every other exquisite throw from her elemental burst. In this frame, we can see 3 9,273s and 1 15,675 damage numbers on the screen. The 15,675 damage number is from the additional throw from her Constellation 2, and basically it activates every other exquisite throw. Now I'm not 100% sure if the additional exquisite throw has a separate ICD or not in terms of applying hydro, but needless to say this will help Yelan apply a lot more hydro and be more viable in more vape compositions. In total, this adds 8 additional Constellation 2 exquisite throw thingies, whatever you want to call them, to her total rotation. From her personal damage output perspective, we can see another modest improvement in the time it took her to take out the Primo Geovishap. It is important to note that in the Constellation 2 run on the right, the Primo Geovishap didn't blow itself up, which makes it obviously lose a significant portion of its health. On paper, her Constellation 2 provides roughly a 19% increase to her elemental burst damage from Constellation 1, and that's even factoring in the 3 free exquisite throws from her elemental skills. This is a great no-nonsense constellation that applies more hydro and also improves her burst damage. Overall, an easy 4.5 slime out of 5 slime rating. The next constellation is the shockingly surprising Constellation 3, which comes after Constellation 2. This is just a simple increase to her elemental burst damage by providing 3 levels to her elemental burst. However, unlike most Constellations 3s and 5s, which usually increases damage by around 18%, this one increases her burst damage by roughly only 14%. This is because her Constellation 2 does not scale off her talent level, and thus is unaffected by her Constellation 3. Anyway, we can see a small improvement in our showcase as well. Overall, a 4 slime out of 5 slime rating. Next is Constellation 4. Initially, I was a bit reserved about this constellation, but the more I use it, the more I appreciate it. For every enemy hit by her elemental skill, her entire party gains 10% HP. Against a single target like the Primo Geovishap, we can see here that the first E gives her 10% HP, and then the second E gives her another 10% HP. However, what's notable about this is that its duration is refreshed, so this means that it's entirely possible to easily maintain all 4 stacks in a long battle, especially because this thing has a 25-second duration and her elemental skill only has a 10-second cooldown. Considering this is the only source of an HP buff to the team, this is an extremely unique way to improve other HP scaling characters' damage like Hu Tao, Kokomi, and Zhongli. Because of its self-refreshing duration, it's improving Yelan's own damage output by 18%, and the fact that it boosts your entire team's HP, I'm giving this a stellar 4 slime out of 5 slime rating. Constellation 5 is extremely simple and just increases her elemental skill, talent level by 3, and thus its damage by about 18%. I'm giving this a simple 2 slimes out of 5 slime rating, good for the occasional vape nuke. Let's be honest though, you get this constellation to get the next constellation, which is the perfect segue to talk about the big kahuna, her Constellation 6. Now if we look at the full rotation for this, it actually only improves her entire rotation's damage output by about 15%. However, what makes this thing so monstrous is that it's front-loaded damage. There are just so many hydro numbers flying around for Constellation 6 Yelan that it's outrageous. This constellation is also incredibly flexible as well. which I will demonstrate in a bit. Anyway, it's hard to actually see the damage numbers from her Constellation 6 specifically, but if we look at this frame, the 28,965 damage is from her Constellation 6, while the 15,675 damage is from her Constellation 2, and the 10,910 damage numbers are from her Exquisite Throws. She can shoot 5 of these enhanced BTBs. In this clip, where we're having an epic battle against the wall, it's much easier to see what's going on. The first 5 auto attacks are exploding enhanced Constellation 6 breakthrough barbs, and any shots after that are just normal physical damage arrows. And also keep in mind that this can only be activated after using her elemental burst. Overall, an easy 5 slime out of 5 slime rating. Finally, we can complete our Giga Whale, Yelan, with the Aqua Simulacra at Refinement 5. This adds roughly another 20% multiplied with all the other damage gains. We have shaved off another couple of seconds on murdering our poor Geovishap friend. However, remember how I mentioned her Constellation 6's flexibility from earlier? Well, Yelan can also backload her Constellation 6's damage output as well. By precasting her burst and gaining the massive bonus damage buff that it provides, she is able to murder our poor Geovishap friend even faster in just 4 seconds and 46 frames from when it becomes vulnerable. MiHoYo, what have you done? Anyway, a 5 slime out of 5 slime rating for the upgrade to a Refinement 5 Aqua Simulacra. So looking at this overly complex chart, we can see a fairly typical power progression for Yelan's Constellation. Honestly, this is roughly what is expected out of characters nowadays, with fewer and fewer terrible constellations in between Constellations 1 and 6. In total, her Constellation 6 roughly doubles her overall damage output, and her Constellation 6 Refinement 5 does around 3 times the amount of total damage in a full rotation than her free-to-play version. The biggest on-paper power spike comes from upgrading from a free-to-play weapon to the Aqua Simulacra. And also, full rotation damage calculations will underestimate the value of her Constellation 6, which while we can see her Constellation 6 only adds about 15% damage to the full rotation, the front-loaded and on-demand nature of roughly 170,000 damage is insanely good. This is why I typically don't focus too heavily on full rotation damage, but I do take it into consideration. Anyway, Constellation 6 Refinement 5 Yelan is an absolute monster, and I personally think she's a little too good. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. Also, I regularly make Genshin Impact videos ranging from Caesar showcases, DPS showdowns, guide videos, and more. So be sure to smash the subscribe button as it's the best and easiest way for you to support my work. Also, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Win to Lose, signing out.